In today's video, I'm going to tell you what I would do if I was starting an Etsy shop in 2026. My name's Jessie. I have 2 Etsy shops. I've made just over 1.5 million in revenue in those 2 shops combined over the past 5 years. I bring home about 20% of that. 5% goes to my VAs. 15% I bring home. And at the end of the video, I'm going to tell you what mistakes I made that you need to skip over in order to find success faster. But this is what I would do in 2026 if I was starting a new Etsy shop. So first of all, you need to have a bird's eye view. Oh, we had a baby. We had a baby in November last month. Yeah. So she's right here. You need to look at it from a bird's eye view for 2026. I know so many people who they just look to Valentine's Day. They're like, what do I need to list for Valentine's Day? But you really need to look at it as a year in whole and plan out the year in whole. You can then pivot once you get in the thick of it. If you need to extend one of your builds, that's totally fine. But look at it as a whole. So you need to choose your different product types that you're going to be building out in 2026. I'm going to personally build out 3 products in full. What I would do if I was opening a new Etsy shop is what I'm going to do this year. I would specifically look towards Mother's Day and Christmas. Those are going to be your 2 cash cows. So whatever product type that you choose, make sure that it's going to sell for Mother's Day and then Christmas. My first build is going to be onesies, which it's more of an evergreen product that's going to sell year round, which is what I'm trying to do, is round out my shops to make them profitable month to month. But if you're a new shop, you may want to do something in the drinkware category, or Inner Circle Prints has these new photo boards that would be a good option. You're going to look at a product type that you're going to be able to sell for Mother's Day, because the sales for Mother's Day could lay a foundation for your shop that you can build off of. So new shop, look towards Mother's Day and Christmas when thinking about your product type. For me, I'm going to hit onesies first and do a full build, and then I'm going to do mugs, and then I'm going to do group shirts. And at the end of the year, I'm going to fill gaps in the ornaments that I already did a full build of. So what does that look like? The process is going to be the same for each of these product types that I'm tackling. The research method that I follow and that I teach was started by Jessie Anselm of Inner Circle Prints. So that's what I'm referencing. But everything is based in research. You're not putting up thousands of listings. You're launching into strategic niches or micro markets, and you're launching into hundreds of them for each product type. You're not living in a couple different niches and chasing trends, and you're not getting up thousands and thousands of listings in order to see the money that you want to see. It's much more methodical than that. The first step that you're going to do is do your margin analysis. You need to know how much money you can sell the product for on Etsy. See how much your cost of goods is, how much does it cost you to ship it out with your print provider. Figure out how much profit you can make for each transaction. You want to hit at least $4, $5, $6 or more is going to be a lot better for you. So make sure that you can make those margins before you jump completely into a product type. That's step 1. Step 2, you're going to build your HPP list, your high potential product list. Here's a video of how I led an ornament build through it, step by step, and you can use this for any product type. The method works for any product type. Your high potential product list, you're essentially gathering data from a lot of shops that are selling the product that you're going to sell and that have best sellers and listings that have sold a ton inside of that product. You're going to gather these shop names and then export all of the data using Everbee, and you're going to gather it into a Google Sheets document, and you're going to sort through it and identify the micro markets or niches. And again, in that video, I show you how to do that. So that's going to be your holy grail, what you're working from in order to determine what markets you are then launching into with your listings and designs. Okay, next step, you're going to do your KDA vision board. So KDA means key design attribute. It's pretty much like the design styles or design attributes inside of any product type. So for example, with onesies, I just did my KDA vision board, and some of those included left aligned text, retro wave, sparkles, distress text, checkers. You're going to go onto Canva and create a whiteboard where you extract all of these KDAs and you create a vision board out of them. She's awake. The vision board, the whiteboard in Canva, is where all of your research for the design elements that are working inside of that product type are going to live. So it would look like you have a list of 1 through 20 or 1 through 15 of the KDAs, and then you're going to have photo references for each of those. For the ornament build that I did, I went through each of these steps in full if you want to go reference that. But inside of the vision board, I also document the fonts that worked well. And it just looks like going down your high potential product list, looking at each of the listings. Side note, filter by the last 18 months so that you have the most relevant design elements, KDAs. You're just going to look at them and then you're going to start documenting which ones you're seeing over and over again. And these become the foundation of the new designs that you're going to be creating for these micro markets. So it's like you're looking at the product type as a whole and seeing what design elements are making sales inside of this product type. I'm going to extract them all and then I have them documented. When I go to design, I can reference this document and I can clearly see, okay, I could use checkers here, I could use hearts here, I could use personalization here, I could use retro wave text here, and it becomes clearer to you the kind of design that's going to sell inside of the market. Inside of this document, I also have fonts that work well for that market. And then I also document just the formats for onesies. The different format styles might be like arch, graphic, straight, or graphic text, or text graphic, or left aligned. Just putting everything in there so that it takes all of the guesswork out. It doesn't take out the creativity because I'm still going to have to decide which ones I'm going to use, but it's all there, so I don't have to remember it all. I can just reference this document. Step 1, you are going to do your margin analysis and make sure that you can profit for each product. Step 2, create your HPP list. Step 3, your KDA vision board. Step 4 is going to be your photo template or mock-up vision board. You're going to go down your HPP list again and start looking at these individual listings. This one does not need to be sorted by the last 18 months, but you're going to look at each individual listing and go to the customer reviews, and you're going to start learning the customer language. What are they excited about? What do they not like? You're going to extract all of this data, and then this is going to be the foundation of the information that you put inside of your photo templates or mockups. You're also going to note themes, colors that are working for the top shops. You're probably going to know, okay, these 3 shops did it better than everyone else. And then they can then become your inspiration, but you don't need to just go after 1 shop or 2 shops and make your mockups just like theirs. You want yours to be better than all of theirs. So you're taking the data, you're taking the customer language, the hot and cold points. You're synthesizing that data. So it might be like item quality, shipping time, customer service. There's going to be these different areas that the customer cares about. And then there's also going to be the cold points. So if they think that it was peeling, then you might turn that on its head. And in your mockups, you're going to say won't fade or peel. So you extract all of this into its own vision board before you create your mockups. And also the research is going to inform you on what kind of photos you want. What kind of vibe do they have? Are they boho? Are they modern? Is there a model holding the drinkware? The research tells you everything you need to know. You take all of these shops that are doing this and making a ton of sales. You extract the information from the research and you make a super set of mockups that has the best parts of everything. As you can probably tell, this is going to take you some time. You need to do it slowly and not rush through it because this full build is going to serve you for years. Like the ornament build that I just did, yeah, I made $20,000 in profit in the last 3 months on those ornaments, but that's going to continue selling in 2026 and I'm just going to fill gaps in it. So take your time with it. That's one of the mistakes that I'll talk about at the end. Okay, step 1, margin analysis. HPP list was 2. KDA vision board was 3. Photo templates was 4. Number 5, it's an easier step, but it's called the sprint list. So let's say my HPP list that I just made of onesies has 1,400 individual micro markets in it. I then am going to pull out a set number of those listings that I'm going to work on for a set amount of time. And this sprint list is pretty much just like a to-do list, but it makes it more palatable for me to be able to create for. So what you need to do is take into consideration what holidays are coming up. If I was doing tumblers and I was looking towards Mother's Day, I know that 8 weeks before Mother's Day is March 15th, and I need to have my Mother's Day tumblers launched by March 15th. I'm not going to launch them prior to March 15th because I want that sweet spot of search volume and my listings going into the Etsy algorithm when it has the halo period. So I'm going to pull out the Mother's Day listings from my HPP list and put it on a separate tab, and that's going to become my sprint list. I like to combine the next holiday and evergreen. So I usually do 50-50. I'll do like 50% Mother's Day if Mother's Day is coming up, 50% evergreen listings that I can launch now. And I'm going to make sure that each of these markets is active right now, not the holiday ones, because they're probably not active, but the evergreen ones, like let's say there's birthday tumbler, I'm going to go and make sure that that market is active before I put that on my sprint list. So again, you can watch my ornament sprint list video if you need some help with your sprint list, but it's essentially making a shorter to-do list. And then you can break it down by week. Maybe your sprint list has 100 items on it and you're going to launch those this month. Then break it down week to week. We don't want anything to be arbitrary. We want to know exactly what you're doing week to week. So like I'm going to do these 25 this week, these 25 markets, and you map it out like that. Because if you don't track it, you're going to have a hard time following through day to day. Okay, so after the sprint list, that's all of the research and it's done. And then you're into the grind of designing and then the SEO and listing. And this is the part where people rarely follow through. A full build of ornaments would be like 150 to 200. A full build of onesies is probably going to be closer to 400. Tumblers, it's going to be 400, 500. This is the part of the process where you are pushing the boulder up the hill. You're showing up every day, you're doing the designs, and you're getting them listed, knowing that 75 to 80% of what you list is not going to make you a lot of money or make you many sales. But that top 20%, that top 15% is going to make you all of your money. So, but you have to put in the reps for everything else in order to see what's going to sell, because you just don't know. I'll break that down on my ornament video, the results and kind of my numbers there and what worked out and what didn't. But yeah, this is the fun part, you know, but it's the hard part, the part where you have to just show up every day and do the build. And it takes so much longer than people think. My ornament build took 3 months and I had 2 VAs helping me. So give yourself some time and know that it's going to take a while. The last thing would be you're going to be turning your ads on as you get these listed. Jesse teaches that you max out your ad spend. If you've done all of this research, then ideally your listing should perform well, but we know that that's not always the case. And so you turn on your ads, you monitor them. You need to know your break-even ROAS, return on ad spend. And then after a set amount of time, if it's underperforming in terms of the ROAS, then you would turn off the ad. But this is what I would do, and I would do it for multiple different products. So I would map out January through March, I'm doing my onesie build. March through July, I'm doing my mug build. July through September, I'm doing my group shirt build. And then at the end of September into October, I'm going to fill the gaps for ornaments. So you don't wait for someone to tell you what to do. You figure out what you're going to do. You go do the margin analysis and commit to it. Put the blinders on and build out that product type in full. You don't want to, like one of the worst things you could do is dabble in this, make a tote, make a t-shirt, make an ornament. No. You need to become the master inside of that product type. You need to spend months on it and build it out in full to where it becomes an evergreen item in your shop. Now, ornaments are not necessarily evergreen, but these other products, they can be that for you. But you need to know that it's print on demand. It's like pushing a boulder up a hill, which I told the people that I coached this recently. It's like pushing it up the hill. It is so hard. It's not like clocking into a normal job and getting $3,000, $4,000 after you work for a month. It's not like that. The work that you put in on the front end is a lot more than the work that you put in on the back end. So on the front end, yeah, you're pushing this boulder up the hill and you're not seeing many sales. But once it starts rolling, then with little upkeep, you have this business that is making you money month to month. And then to hit on the mistakes that I made that you don't need to make. If I would have been doing this research method at the beginning in 2020, whenever I started my Etsy shops, I would probably 4x my numbers now. I was focusing on like the teacher niche, the mom niche, and the nurse niche, and I was sitting there. And I was putting out a lot of designs inside of those instead of doing the research and getting into hundreds of micro markets. Because Jessie from Inner Circle Print says that search volume is the lifeline to your business, and it's so true. You have to launch into hundreds in order to see the success that. Go to the office. I'm almost done.
She does.
Love you.
Love you.
My biggest mistakes were just sitting in the same niches and not getting into these individual micro markets and following the research. Don't ignore the research. I don't love the research part, but it's so important. I love the designing part, but you cannot blindly design and just throw stuff up and hope that it works. You really need to buckle down and do the research first and know exactly what markets you're launching into. I didn't tell you this, but for when you're designing, you're going to go into incognito and you're going to look at that market, whatever it is, and you're going to identify what's being overused in terms of the KDAs, what's being underused, and then how you're going to add value to that market. And then you create something new. You're not copying anybody. You launch that new design into the market. Let me know what would help you in terms of videos. I do want to show you more design tricks, what I do in order to set my designs apart from other people's designs. But thank you so much for watching, and we will talk soon.